The federal government's directive to peg the age of West African Examination Council and National Examination Council candidates at 18 years has sparked concern and criticism among stakeholders. The National Association of Proprietors of Private Schools and the Nigerian Union of Teachers have expressed concerns that the policy may lead to delaying and denying some students access to higher education.
Nigerians took to X last week to share their disapproval of this development, with some accusing the minister of being out of touch with modern education. Medical doctor and education advocate Dr. Charles Márìndọ is a displeased Nigerian and has called on state governors and parents to reject the policy. Joining us is medical doctor and education advocate Dr. Charles Márìndọ. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, sorry again, early. Thank you for having me. Thanks everybody at home.
All right. We know that you're not pleased with this as well, just like the parents haven't been pleased with this. We've also seen that the NUT has not been pleased with this, even though in an interesting twist of events, it would seem that ASUU, which is plagued with many challenges, seems to throw their weight behind the decision of the minister. But we'll come to that later. We've seen reports that you've threatened legal action if the minister insists on implementing the age limit. Is this true? And, talk to us about that.
Yes, I definitely have been shopping for lawyers. And my organization, we have members who have children in, secondary schools who will be affected by this. And so we are definitely coordinating and watching out for what's going on. But, I'll try to give a little bit of my own background just to explain why I am passionate about this. By the time I took my JAMB, April, I think 15, 2004, I was a 14-year-old. My 15th birthday, I was in a WAEC exam, and not only did I graduate as the joint best student in my set, I also had the best jump. I got into medicine, Bafemi Awolowo University on merit, and that age that I was never affected me. Now, by the minister's, as a policy, I will have to wait 3 years. Who knows if I would have gone into crime, stopped education. There's this momentum that actually comes from progressing from secondary school to the university. We have people who should be making policies to help our children learn, to ensure that our children learn to help ourselves, but they are trying to create a situation whereby our children can get into a form of learned helplessness, whereby they lose their comfort or their comfort and confidence in themselves, in their abilities to progress. There is nothing wrong with a child going to school if they have the intellectual ability to, but just to be able to put a little bit of a perspective on this, I went to do a little bit of a research about the current Minister of Education. I saw that he graduated from law in university as a 29-year-old. So if you do the maths, 5 years in school, that means he probably passed JAMB around the age of 24. So I can understand why he might feel this is a plausible policy relative to me that finished WAEC at the age of 15. By the time I graduated at 23, despite 2 years of ASUU strike, I was still younger than when the minister got into university. So I can understand this diverging view, but just because it was an optimal does not mean it should delay the prodigies that we have in our secondary school. We should allow children grow based on their own abilities. Let's take a global point of view to these things. In the United States and most countries where the government takes good care of public education and about 90% of people go to public schools, they have policies about when they can begin kindergarten, which is age 5. And even during the course of their education up until they finish high school, which is equivalent to our secondary school, a child that is smart gets pushed ahead. If they see that you are smart, they start giving you the work of the next class. If you are getting, they push you, they keep on pushing you. So the whole thing that he is trying to do, even if there was any merit to it, you have to go and begin it, starting from primary school, and try to say, okay, well, let us encourage students to get to this age before they get to primary school.
I think that's what the issue is. A number of them have complained about the fact that parents are pushing children. A number of us remember that there were children who had to go through something we refer to as double promotion back in the day. I don't know if that still happens, but I'm going to quote the ASUU chairman, who had said, ASUU has in previous times shown their support for this. But even though the National President Academic Staff Union of Universities, Professor Emmanuel Oshodeke, maintained that ASU had not yet discussed the matter, but stated on a personal note that children should follow the standard academic progression, 6 years in primary school, 6 years in secondary school, and then move on to university at the age of 18. He questioned the rush to enter university, stating, why are we focusing on university at such a young age? How many years do you spend in university? For most courses, it's 4 years. For medicine, it's 5. We can't reduce these durations. So he's saying that students or pupils or whatever should be allowed to go through the education system as is. But some people have criticized it, saying it's not factoring in the fact that, for example, last year, ASU was on strike for 8 months. You know, they're on industrial strike for months, and students end up having to go to school for maybe 5-6 years for it, and initially designed 4-year course. So let's talk about this perspective of rushing children through school. Where does the bulk of the blame lie, and who should be making the adjustments?
Well, there is no such thing as rushing a child who has the intellectual ability to go through it. If a child is smart enough that he does not need to stay at a level of education, there's no need to force him there. You are wasting his talent. But this is not the norm. Most of my, almost 100% of my friends were at least 2 years or more older than me, my classmates. So that is to say, most people normally would graduate at the age of like 17. If you do it from like the 6, 3, 3, 4, what's it called, KEDA. But people do even take. I can remember people used to take WAEC at SS1, SS2, just as in preparation. WAEC is also a private exam. So if ASU wants to, talk about these policies, they should be more concerned about the injustice that they are doing to Nigerian students, whereby people go through universities without acquiring the skills that they need to function in life. I was talking to my cousin who is in university. They were made to do engineering drawing, but something that you do on a computer, use AutoCAD, and even AI has a lot of work that he has done that, has advanced in that phase. They are still making them use pencil and ruler. Why is ASU not looking at ways to revitalize their curriculum so that they can produce employable, useful, and very economically advantageous graduates, and not these, teeming, redundant Nigerian graduates that we are producing? Even if you look at the programming language that they teach people in computer and all of that, I know a lot of my friends that had about 3 extra years because of a programming language called Fortran. Fortran is a programming language that never got off. It was never used. It has no, it has no use for you in the labor market. But people are having extra years in your part 2, part 1. They make you do classes that you don't need. These are things that ASU needs to focus on. To focus on how the professors themselves can start making money with research from from industry, and not as opposed to just being a bunch of panhandling association going to federal government to strike all the time. I also inherited a year of strike before I got into university, and during my course of university, I had another year of strike added to it. So this is probably part of what is making some mothers a little bit more anxious. But the most important thing is to focus on the process. You cannot just say you want to go and ban. That is very simple. And we need people with sound mind and good hearts to be making policies.
All right, Dr. Márìndọ, I'm sure that the minister as well is, aware of Nigeria's numbers of out-of-school children, and I believe that should really be the focus of Professor Tahir Mamman at this point. Dr. Márìndọ, thank you very much for sharing with us. Let us know how your lawsuit goes, if you will be suing, and we'll definitely like to have another conversation at that time. Thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you very much.